number?
Yes.
78, please. And what is this, Detective Powell?
That's the desk where the gun was retrieved from, that bottom drawer.
And this is Mr. Grimm's desk?
Yes.
Okay. And the gun was in the bottom drawer of that desk?
Yes.
Okay. Next one, 79. What is this?
That's the pouch the gun is inside of.
So this is this a photograph of the bottom drawer slit open?
Yes.
Okay. And inside the bottom drawer you said was a box, correct?
Yes.
And I assume the box had to be open to display the pouch, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. And then this picture depicts the open box in the drawer with the pouch, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Number 80. And what is this?
That's the handgun that was found inside of the pouch.
And lastly, number 81. And what is that?
That is the handgun.
That's the handgun that was recovered from
Yes.
Attorney Grimm's office, correct?
Yes.
That's all I have.
Your Honor, we have no questions.
The people have no objection.
Yeah, we have no objection, Your Honor, subject to what we previously discussed.
Sir, could you state your name for the record, please?
Robert John Goddard, Jr.
Could you spell your last name, please?
G-O-D-A-R-D.
Now, Mr. Goddard, do you know Mr. Robert Bashara?
Yes, I do.
Do you see him seated anywhere in this courtroom?
Yes, I do.
Could you point him out and tell me what he's wearing?
He's right in front of me.
Indicating for the record the witness identified the person of the defendant, Mr. Bashara. How is it that you know him?
I did business with Bob through where I work for quite a few years.
And approximately how many years have you known him?
Oh, probably, I would say close to 20.
Okay. And when you first met him, it was a business relationship?
That's correct, yes.
And did you eventually become friends?
Yes.
And had you socialized with he and his wife?
Yes, I have, yes.
So you knew Mrs. Bashara when she was alive?
That's correct.
Now, eventually, did Mr. Bashara expose to you some other type of lifestyle he was involved in?
Yes.
And what type of lifestyle was that?
It was an alternative lifestyle.
Would it be referred to as, or have people referred to it as BDSM?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And when who approached who about the lifestyle?
Bob had introduced it to me.
Bob introduced you
Yes.
to the lifestyle, and eventually did you learn of something called the dungeon?
Yes.
Okay. And where was that at?
That was in the basement underneath some of his businesses that he owned.
Okay. And did you know that location before it had been turned into a dungeon?
Yes.
Okay. And you say Mr. Bashara introduced you to the lifestyle?
Yes, he did.
Did he invite you to some parties?
I'm sorry.
Did he invite you to some parties?
Yes. Yes.
I don't see the relevancy of the lifestyle.
Your Honor, as it relates to this case, it's one of the motives for the murder, and this is how it will enter. This will get into how he met Miss Gillette, who is the mistress in this case, who is also a motive for the murder.
All right.
Thank you, Your Honor. Now, did you meet someone named Rachel?
Yes, I did.
And how was it that you met her?
I met her through the alternative lifestyle, through Bob.
Through Bob.
Yes.
And before Rachel, had Mr. Bashara introduced you to any other women?
Before Rachel?
Yes.
Rachel was one of the first, but there was some other women, yeah.
Was there a lady named Rose?
Yes.
And were there other women?
Yes, there was.
After Rachel came into the picture, did Mr. Bashara more or less focus on a particular woman?
Rachel was his woman, yes.
Okay. So before Rachel, you knew Mr. Bashara to be with other women, is that correct?
Before?
Yes.
It was kind of like at the same time. You know, there was Rachel and then a few other women that...
But it got to the point where it was just Rachel?
Yes.
Okay. And did Mr. Bashara tell you his feelings for Rachel?
Oh, he cared for her very much, yes.
Okay. Did he tell you about his future plans with Rachel?
Yes, he did.
What did he tell you?
Well, they were going to buy a home together and make a life together.
Okay. And when was it that he told you this?
Oh, this was, wow, probably a year or so ago.
Do you recall indicating that was in approximately October 2011 when he told you this?
It could have been, yes.
Okay.
It could have been.
And he said they were going to move into a house together?
Yes.
Did he tell you anything about what he was going to do as it relates to his wife?
I'm sorry,
Did he tell you about his plans or what was going to go on with his wife?
No, I know they were not doing very well
Did
as a couple.
Did he tell you he wasn't happy with his wife?
Yes.
Did he tell you why he wasn't happy with his wife?
Just, I think that he was hoping she'd get into this alternative lifestyle, but she was not for it.
Okay. So you do recall indicating that he said that his wife would not participate in the lifestyle?
Yes.
And he was not happy about that?
Yes, that's correct.
And did he say anything about plans to divorce his wife?
I think the plan was after his kids were out of school, that then he was going to separate and, you know, make a life with Rachel.
In addition to being you said that Rachel was his woman, did he refer to Rachel as something else? Did he ever tell you that Rachel was his slave?
Yes.
Now, did Mr. Bashara ever tell you he had told Jane that he was going to divorce her?
Not to my knowledge.
Now, did there ever come a time, say, in late summer of 2011 that Mr. Bashara asked you something that was sort of unusual?
Yes, he did.
Tell me about that.
We were having a little business lunch, and he had, out of the blue, asked me if I knew anybody that could, how do I put it, like put a hurt on somebody, yes.
You were having lunch with him, and he asked you out of the blue, and you say you don't know how to put it. He asked you, do you know anybody who could put a hurt on somebody? Mm-hmm. Do you recall previously indicating that he asked, do you know anybody who could rough somebody up?
Yes, that's it. It's more like it, yes.
Well, what did you say to him when he said this?
Well, I asked him, well, you know, was he having a problem? He just indicated that he had a tenant that was making a lot of noise over one of his businesses, and he kind of wanted to quiet him up.
And he used the term rough him up.
Yes.
And what was your reaction to this?
I was a little shocked by it, but...
And what did you tell him?
I didn't know anybody, no. I didn't know anybody.
Did you get the impression that he was serious?
I was surprised by it, but he did seem a little concerned, you know, that he wanted this taken care of.
And at the point in time when he asked you this, do you know whether he and Rachel were together?
Oh, yes, they were, yes.
Do you know whether or not they had broken up during this time or not?
I know there was a period of time where they were having a few problems, yes.
Did he drop that? Did he drop that subject after you said you didn't know anybody who would do this?
Yes, I didn't hear anything else after that.
Now, did he contact you from prison recently?
Not recently, but he had
Yes,
before, yes.
And do you know somebody by the name of Richard Falcinelli?
I was told that he was going to give my name to a Richard.
When you say you were told, did Mr. Bashara tell you that?
Yes, yeah, he had called me, I talked to him, and he wanted to give my name to a Richard.
I have nothing further for this witness.
No questions, Your Honor.
Yeah, hold on. One, now I'll go ahead. Okay. Ma'am, could you state your name, please?
Patricia Matthews.
Oh, that's okay. Ma'am, during her lifetime, did you know Jane Bashara?
Yes.
And how long had you known Jane?
Since we were 15.
And how would you characterize your relationship with her?
I considered her my best friend.
Okay. And was she in your wedding?
Yes.
And were you in hers?
Yes.
And how have you known Mr. Bashara?
I was introduced to Bob about 3 years before Jane knew him.
Do you see Mr. Bashara seated anywhere in this courtroom?
Yes.
Could you point him out and tell me what he's wearing?
He's wearing a green jumpsuit.
Indicating for the record the witness identified the person of the defendant, Mr. Robert Bashara. Now, in recent years, did Jane begin to confide some things to you about her relationship with Bob?
Yes.
And as it relates to her relationship with Bob, did you ever have a conversation with her about his flirting or his attention to other women?
Yes.
And what did she say about that?
Is this going to the first date of marriage?
Yes.
Okay. Is it going to be used for substantive evidence in any way?
Well, it's used as it relates to the rules of evidence, say the state of mind can be used as circumstantial evidence of motive, according to the Fisher case.
And that's not a problem. I just want to know if this was differentiated from the other
Well, no, we're not actually putting it in to prove
truth of the matter.
that proves the assertion. Is to prove how she felt and what she said.
Okay.
What did Jane say as it related to Bob's constant attention to other women?
He said Bob's a big flirt. It's all show because he can't get it up.
And did she indicate to you, did she talk to you at length about Bob's erectile dysfunction?
She did a few times, yes.
And had she indicated to you that she had more or less reconciled herself to a sexless marriage?
Somewhat.
Did she also talk to you about the issue she had with Bob as it related to trust?
Yes.
Tell me about that.
Well, she always said that Bob always lies. Bob always lies. And I didn't think it was anything big, but, you know, she would say that. She couldn't count on what he said. And she did not trust him with money. And a few other things.
Now, did there ever come a time where she talked to you about some issues she was having with Bob or issues within the family related to Mr. Bashara's porn habits?
Yes.
Tell us about that.
It was the summer, August, before their daughter started her senior year in high school, and she was livid, and the kids were very upset with him. And she was upset with Bob's mom for enabling him, and he would be watching porn, and the kids caught him. She said some weird porn. She didn't say what kind. And they're all upset, and then the kids were very upset because he was going into their emails and answering the emails, pretending to be them. And she says Bob has no boundaries.
She said Bob has no boundaries.
Yeah.
And she indicated that this was causing problems in their marriage?
Yes.
Now, did she ever indicate to you that her and Bob had a discussion about divorce?
She said that after this happened, Bob said, well, just wait till Jessica graduates from high school, and if you want out of this, fine.
And what was her reaction to that?
She was a little taken back. She was looking more for ways that he would improve and not do this and so on versus getting divorced. And that was the last she really mentioned about it.
So she wanted to stay in the marriage,
Yes.
and Bob wanted out of the marriage, according to her.
Well, he proposed that idea, yes.
Did she talk to you about her financial situation?
Yes.
What did she say about that?
Well, she took a buyout and retired from Detroit Edison, and she thought things would be secure. And then when she retired, she found out that wasn't the case. And then she was very upset about their finances.
Did she indicate to you that she had to go back to
Yes,
work
she had to return to work.
based on the way Bob was handling his rentals and
Yeah,
money?
she was disappointed in the rentals and the way real estate was and so on.
Did she ever talk to you about something with her 401k?
Yes.
Tell me about that.
Well, I know she started the 401k right out of college when she got her first job at Detroit Edison, and she was the type that did not want to touch that ever until she retired. And she said that Bob asked if she would take $10,000 out of the 401k to invest with his sister and her husband with a business. And she thought about it and said no. She did not want to do that. And then when the next quarterly statement came, $10,000 was taken out of the account, and she was furious, so she had to change all her codes and everything, so nothing like that would happen again.
So did she indicate to you that she thought Bob had taken money out of her account without her permission?
She said he did, yes.
Did she relate to you whether Bob had any money of his own, or what was there did she express concerns about the disparity in their earning power?
Well, she was hoping that he would improve his business. He was a sales rep, that he would work harder on that, because the rentals, they just break even. That's what she was explaining to me. And that she was the breadwinner mostly. She covered all the insurances and health care and all that.
She was the breadwinner in the family.
She was the bigger breadwinner in the family, yeah.
Now, particularly, let's talk about the last 3 or 4 months of 2011 in terms of Bob's overnight habits.
Well, she would tell me that he was gambling on Saturday nights. He'd do a sleepover at a place because he'd be far away and they'd spend the night and da-da-da-da. So that part I would say that was going on. We try to get appointments with them or to an engagement to play cards or something, and he wasn't available because he was doing that.
Okay, so my question specifically was, did she say that he was gone away overnight? 11.
Yes.
Now, did something happen specifically over Christmas time of 2011
Yes.
that you talked to Bob directly about Mr. Bashara?
Yes.
Tell us about that.
Well, on December 23rd, Jane was going to come over to the house and see my family. The kids were all in town for like one afternoon. And Bob came first. And when he was leaving, I said, well, we'll see you New Year's Eve because we're having a card party at our house. And he made a commitment to come. And he says, well, a little snag in that. He said, Jane's pissed, but he says, I'm going to a member guest golf outing with Jim Wilson down in Florida. And I said, really? And he said, yeah. And so then he left. And then when Jane came an hour later, she's in a good mood and everything. She's going to pick up her son at the airport. I didn't bring up the subject to her.
So let me just stop you there. In December of 2011, Bob was supposed to spend some time with you guys, and he made the excuse of going to Florida to play golf with Jim Wilson?
Right.
Okay. And in January, did there come a time where you learned, or did Jane tell you about Bob being away in Oregon?
Yes.
What did she say Bob indicated he was at?
She was at our house for dinner that Friday night, which was about 10 days before she died. And because Bob was out of town, he was in Oregon. She said he went to not a convention, but something to do with the chemical company he worked with, something to do with sanitation.
Do you recall indicating in your statement it was a sanitation seminar?
Yes,
Okay.
sanitation seminar. And she said he called her from there and was telling her about it.
Now, after Jane's murder, did you become suspicious about the story that Bob had given you about him being in Florida with Jim Wilson?
Oh, yeah.
And did you do anything about these suspicions?
Yes, I called Jim Wilson.
Okay.
In Florida.
And without telling you what Jim Wilson told you, did you confront Bob about this? Or did you tell Bob about this?
No.
What you had learned?
No.
Did you tell Bob's daughter about
Yes.
what you had learned?
Yes.
And what was Bob's reaction to that?
He called and left a message on my recorder saying, don't ever talk to my daughter again, and that was terrible that you told her, and all this kind of stuff.
He said it was terrible that you told him. Nothing further if this witness, oh, let's hold on just a second.
We have no
But no, I wasn't. Judge, I just need a moment. I just need to check one thing, Your Honor. Okay, okay. Did you find the note about the ring?
Find a note? No.
Okay, nothing further.
We have no questions.
No, we don't have anybody short now.
Rather than break the witness in two, we're going to give this time to break for today. Then we will reconvene tomorrow at 9 o'clock a.m. And that is the time we will be starting.
We hear you.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Because we did all kinds of setup.